Hey guys, this is day 3 decimals, adding and subtracting. As always, please make sure that your notes look just like my slides. So if you need to pause the video and catch up, please do that. Okay, we're going to talk about adding first. So to add numbers with decimals, we're going to follow 4 steps. First, we're going to line up the decimals vertically. We will add zeros if necessary, and I'll show you what this means in just a minute. Next, we're going to add. Finally, we're going to drop down the decimal into the sum. Now, I want you to write a little note there on your notes. It says, do not line up the decimals for multiplication and division. In a couple days, we'll learn those algorithms, and it's really important that you remember that lining up the decimals is an adding and subtracting thing, not a multiplication and division thing. All right, let's see what this looks like with some examples. You have on your notes 39 and 9/10 plus 3 and 991 thousandths. So let's start by putting the bigger number on top because that's the way we're used to adding. So we have 39 and 9/10, and you can see that I've already gone ahead and added a couple zeros. And that's because I have more digits in this other number, and I want my digits and my decimal places to be the same. And so that's why I add those zeros. All right, let's put our other number up there, and then we are ready to add. We have 0 plus 1 is 1, 0 plus 9 is 9, 9 plus 9 is 18, 1 plus 9 is 10, plus 3 is 13, and 1 plus 3 is 4. Let's take a look at our next example. All right, our next example was 13 and 77 thousandths and plus 6 thousandths. So this time we have the same number of digits in the decimal places in both numbers. So we shouldn't need to add any zeros this time for step 2. But let's go ahead and line up the decimals. And then we're going to add zeros if necessary. That's step 2, but we don't need to, so we won't worry about that. So we're ready to add. 7 plus 6 is 13. 1 plus 7 is 8. 0 plus 0 is 0. 3 plus 0 is 3. And 1 plus 0 is 1. So we're left with 13 and 83 thousandths for our sum. Okay, now you have in front of you a few toyos. So what I'd like you to do right now is to stop the video and go ahead and try those toyos. And when you're done, come back and let's check them together. All right. Let's take a look at letter A. So we have 2,245 and 2 thousandths plus 133 and 9,872 ten thousandths. So our first step was to line up the decimals. So we did that right here. Our next step, of course, is to oh, look at that. We already have the sum. Let's go through this together. Is to add zeros if necessary. So I'm going to add a 0 right there in that top number. And now we're ready to add. So we have 0 plus 2 is 2. 2 plus 7 is 9. 0 plus 8 is 8. 0 plus 9 is 9. 5 plus 3 is 8. 4 plus 3 is 7. 2 plus 1 is 3. And 2 plus 0 is 2. And our answer is 2,378 and 9,892 ten thousandths. All right, let's look at letter B. All right, so we've got 3 numbers this time. So we're going to break this into 2 parts. We're going to add these first 2 together, and then we're going to add the sum. We're going to add this last number onto the sum. So let's line up the decimals on the first 2 numbers first. So we've got 3 and 514 thousandths plus 2. So you can see I've already added my zeros here so that my digits are the same, and we're ready to add. And if we add those up, we get 5 and 514 thousandths. Okay, now we're going to add that to our 75 hundredths over here. Oh, where'd it go? Okay. Apparently, I don't have that for a slide. So let's go ahead and do that ourselves. So we're going to line up our decimals. We're going to add a 0, and we're going to add 4 plus 0 is 0, 1 plus 5 is 6, 5 plus 7 is 12, 1 plus 5 is 6. We drop down the decimal, and we get 6.264. All right, let's look at the last example. We've got 3 numbers again. So this time I think we'll go ahead and try to add them all together all at once, because we have the same amount of digits in each, and it won't be too hard to do this. So we're going to start by lining up the decimals, which we've done already. We don't need to add any zeros because everything has the same number of digits. And let's go ahead and add these up. When we do that, we get 5 plus 2. 5 plus 2 is 7. 7 plus 8 is 15. Now we have 1 plus 5 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. 8 plus 8 is 16. 1 plus 5 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. 8 plus 8 is 16. 1 plus 7 is 8. 8 plus 2 is 10. 10 plus 4 is 14. 1 plus 7 is 8. 8 plus 2 is 10. 10 plus 2 is 14. 1 plus 7 is 8. 8 plus 2 is 10. 10 plus 4 is 14. And our answer is 1,444 and 665 thousandths. All right, let's talk about subtracting numbers with decimals. And this time we have 5 steps. So to subtract numbers with decimals, we are going to first line up the decimals vertically. Then we're going to add zeros if necessary. Then, see, I don't love this word. We are going to regroup or decompose. We don't really use the word borrow. I should have edited that before I started this. But we're going to regroup or decompose. Then we're going to subtract. Then we are going to drop down the decimal. Special note here, do not line up the decimal in multiplication or division. I want you to write it again because it's very important that you remember that. Okay, let's look at some example problems. All right, we've got 21 and 13 hundredths minus 6 and 758 thousandths. So you can see that I've already added a 0 right here so that I have the same number of digits in both numbers there. So we've lined up our decimals, we've added a 0, and now we're ready to subtract. Our answer is 14 and 372 thousandths. But let's just go through, let's go through and see how we got there. So our step 3 in subtraction is to regroup as necessary. So we're going to do that because I've got a 0 here and I can't take away 8 from 0. So I'm going to regroup that hundredths right there place, and I'm going to put some of those over there in the thousandths. Now I have 10 over here. 10 minus 8 is 2. Now I've got 2 minus 5, which is a problem, so let me regroup the tenths. Put that in the hundredths. So now I've got 12 minus 5 is 7. Oh, I need to regroup some more. Let's regroup right here. Regroup the ones, put them over in the tenths. And I've got 10 minus 7 is 3. And I'm going to have to regroup them one more time. And I've got 10 minus 6 is 4. 1 minus 0 is 1. Drop down my decimal. And there we go. That's how I got to 14 and 372 thousandths. All right, let's take a look at our next example. This time I have 12 minus 375 thousandths. So I'm going to line up my decimal places vertically. So I've got them right here. I'm going to add zeros if necessary. I've already done that right here. And I'm going to regroup as necessary. Oh goodness, I'm going to have to do a lot of regrouping on this, aren't I? Because I've got a bunch of zeros up here. So I can't regroup the thousandths from the hundredths. I can't regroup the hundredths from the tenths. But I can regroup some tenths from the ones over here. So let's do that. Make that into a 1. We'll make that into 10 tenths. And let's take and regroup from the tenths to the hundredths. And let's take and regroup from the hundredths to the thousandths. And now I've got to where I can subtract. So I've got 10 minus 5 is 5. 9 minus 7 is 2. 9 minus 3 is 6. 1 minus 0 is 1. 1 minus 0 is 1. Drop down my decimal, and there we go. The answer is 11 and 625 thousandths. Sorry, you guys, that it looks like a 6-year-old is writing on the screen, but oh well, tech problems. Okay, you've got some Toyos coming up, so go ahead and pause the video right now and give a try to those Toyos. Okay, let's go ahead and I'm going to go through these really quickly with you. So let's check your answers. Letter A, we had 412 and 900ths minus 322 and 4/10. We needed to add a 0 right here. That looks messy, sorry about that. But if you go through all the steps correctly, your answer is going to be 89 and 6900ths. So I had 9 minus 0 is 9. I needed to regroup those tenths over there from the 1s. Then I had 10 minus 4 is 6. Oh, I'm going to need to regroup the 10s and give some to the 1s. 11 minus 2 is 9. I need to regroup again. 10 minus 2 is 8. And then I don't have anything over there because 3 minus 3 is 0. Drop down my decimal. Okay, we got 50 and 5/10 minus 5 and 7500ths. So you can see I've lined up my decimals. I've added zeros because I needed to. And now I'm going to subtract, and you should end up with 45 and 425 thousandths. All right, let's check letter C. I have 21 and 13/10 minus 2 and 644 thousandths. I'm going to need to add a 0 right there. And my answer is 18 and 486 thousandths. I've got 3.5. Oh, I did it. I said 3.5. 3 and 5/10. Sorry, guys. Minus 522 thousandths. So we've gone through the steps of lining up our decimals and adding zeros so that our numbers have the same number of digits in them in the decimal places. And now I'm ready to regroup and solve. And my answer is 2 and 978 thousandths. Okay, friend, that's the end of adding and subtracting decimals. Tomorrow we're going to work on, let's see, multiplying decimals. So make sure that you get this down. If you have any questions, I hope you're able to come back to school tomorrow. If you were ill, if you were just rewatching this video because you needed to understand a few things better from the lesson today, good on you. That's awesome. All right, have a good evening.